I'm like,
Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money, as Constance would say. Today, we're addressing a topic that is long overdue in the sports world: Black women athletes and the systemic issues, racism, that they face in the media. Paige Bueckers, I don't know how to say her last name. Let's say it's Bueckers. A white woman in a Black-led sport recently took to the ESPY stage and used her platform to call out the lack of media recognition for Black women in the WNBA. In a sport where Black women dominate, why are they only getting half of the coverage of their white counterparts? Later, we'll discuss how Aja Wilson's comments on Caitlin Clark's privilege caused a huge backlash, and how racism is often used to pit Black women against their white counterparts. Let's talk about how Black women can rise above these challenges, both in terms of media representation and financial opportunities. As always, we are joined by a host of awesome, amazing, beautiful, wonderful queens and king. Our king is back. The king is here. We have Joe Corley in the building, a therapist, Real You Consulting, the homeboy. We have Aisha here, financial expert. The titles came off the screen. And we have Miss Black Hollywood in the building, rounding us out. Aja. Thank you. Not Asia, Aja.
It's Asia, right? It's Asia.
Is it Asia or Aja? I thought
it's Asia.
Joe, is it Aja or Asia?
Asia. It's Asia.
It's Asia. It's Asia.
It's spelled AJA?
Yeah, she's
Asia?
very famous person right now. Asia.
Yeah, Asia. Asia. You know Black people. You know how Black people do.
Okay, Asia, because I read that straight up Asia. But Asia it is. Okay, thank you kindly. So we're gonna get started. Tell us over in the chat, what do you guys think? Are you guys keeping up with what's going on in the media, in the sports world? Because as you can see, I don't really do sports. So we still gonna have a good conversation about this topic. Let's just start out with the Paige. What's Paige's last name? Bueckers?
Bueckers.
It is Bueckers.
Beckers.
Beckers. I mean Beckers. Beckers. I'm sorry. Beckers.
Paige Bueckers. Let's start with that video because I think that's going to kick us off when we're having this. Actually, before we get to that video, since Joe, we can tell by Joe's face that he already is like, I'm done. I'm already through. When you are a sports guy, what are your thoughts, feelings, and emotions about this topic, this conversation around white athletes, Black women athletes? What are your thoughts, Joe?
I have worked diligently to allow myself not to be triggered by news. I am a huge women's basketball fan, not just WNBA, but women's basketball in general. So this conversation has been extremely triggering. The discourse that goes on between the different conversations around this topic has been exhausting and infuriating. So
what do you mean you say discourse? People have varying opinions, or people leaning one way or the other?
Yes, there's been a huge influx of opinions that have come in with the last couple of years, especially with the dynamic between Angel and Caitlin, that have made the whole conversation not even about basketball anymore. So it's difficult to enjoy the conversations around women's basketball because they're always turning into conversations about race.
Yeah.
And it's extremely frustrating.
So that we know that there are race dynamics in the world, but we're seeing them. Well, we know that not only do we know that they're in the world, but we know that they're in corporate. We know that they're in sports. We know that they're in like football, basketball, in the male. But now we're starting to see this massive influx in women's sports. Tiara, what are your thoughts? I know when you first saw this, you were thinking about corporate and the dynamics of masters or owners and having these dynamic sports that are 80% Black, but the representation in the media, the finances, the money does not always go towards the majority of the players. What were your thoughts when you saw this?
Yeah, just being a journalist girl, news girl, and just always looking around, I'm seeing these parallels with Black women in every space where there is ultimately some type of issue with them, right? There's some issue, like the world got an issue with Black women in every space. And so when I really broke it down and was looking at this thing with Asia and Caitlin and what Paige said at her ESPY Awards, I just thought it was worth diving into because, like I said, I didn't know everything that was happening. I just like catch a game from time to time, but like when I really dove into it, I was like, oh, this is really, really worth talking about. So I'm excited to have this conversation today.
I love it. Aisha, are you a sports girl? Do you keep up with sports or what's happening in the sports world?
True disclosure, no. But at least I'm hearing what's happening around this particular issue. But I'm not like a.
You understand racism. You understand privilege. You understand.
Yes, I understand. Yes, the whole dynamics. But I'm not like a basketball watcher. But I know what's happening based on what is going on. Yeah.
Awesome. I do actually. So I'm not a big sports person. I think I've started getting to the WNBA and women's sports when Angel started playing and we started seeing her games come up more. And I actually do like Paige. A lot of her, she does a lot of gospel music stuff on her social media. She's always with Black athletes. And then I liked her even more when I saw her ESPY speak. So we're going to roll that and then we're going to continue this conversation. Let us know over in the chat what you think.
As a white woman who leads a Black-led sport and celebrated here, I want to show a light on Black women. They don't get the media coverage that they deserve. They've given so much to this sport and the community and society as a whole, and their value is undeniable. And in the WNBA last season, the postseason awards, 80% of the winners were Black, but they got half the coverage as the white athletes. So I think it's time for change. Sports media holds the key to storylines. Sports media and sponsors tell us who is valuable, and you have told the world that I matter today, and everyone who voted, thank you. But I think we should use this power together to also celebrate Black women. So to Maria Taylor, Robin Roberts, Maya Moore, Odyssey Alexander, to all the incredible Black women in my life, on my teams, to Breonna Taylor and all the lives lost, and to those names who have not yet learned, but I hope to share, I stand behind you and I will continue to follow you and follow your lead and fight for you guys. So I just want to say thank you for everything.
Man. So thoughts when you see that. I'll start with you, Aisha, since you may or may not have seen it and you're not really a sports girl. What are your thoughts when you see and or hear that?
I loved it. I was kind of grateful that she stepped up and spoke about the disparity, even herself seeing it, right? So she called it out. And I thought that was so kind of her to do that. When I say kind, meaning she actually was thoughtful and made sure everybody knew. And people were agreeing with her. They were agreeing that, you're right. What you're saying is true. And I think we should appreciate that and celebrate that. We just need more of it, more of them speaking up and not being quiet in the background, being scared, but to speak up when they have the opportunity. And she did that. So I was very grateful that she did that because it made a huge difference for me hearing her say that. And hopefully the sponsors of the sports sponsors and the commentators will now hear, wow, okay, she's been highlighted and she's telling us that, hey, listen, there are people behind me that are doing better than me and you're not highlighting them. right? So she's calling them out. So I think that was great.
I love that. What about you, Joe? You've already seen it, but what were your thoughts when you saw it, or what are your thoughts right now relative to what's happening in the sport?
It was on brand for Paige. You know what I mean? She's never been asked these type of questions. Before she got injured, she was it. Like before Caitlin got popular, it was Paige. She was the best player in the country. And then she went down, and then the dynamics that were left allowed Caitlin to rise. But that was on brand for Paige. You know what I mean? That's how she speaks. That's how she talks. That's how she thinks. And I'm not for certain, but I think she's actually in a biracial family. I think her brother is either biracial or black. So, yeah. And I was just proud of her. I was just proud of her for stepping out there and doing that, because there's a huge risk in that for her. You know, there's a huge risk if you don't do it, if you don't make those type of speeches, i.e. like Caitlin, you see how much financial gain she's gotten from just being quiet. I mean, not to knock her for that, but I mean, it's definitely benefited her not to make those type of statements.
I was literally looking for my pen diligently to ask, and we don't have to talk about it right now because I want to get Tiara's opinion, but do you take a loss when you stand up for Black women? We don't have to have it yet, but I want to talk about that. Before we get to that, Tiara, what were your thoughts when you first saw and heard her speech?
Yeah, it just made me think about allyship a little bit more, and like how powerful it would be if like Aisha said earlier, if more people stood up and came forward and saying these are the injustices happening. Now it just made me feel like, because so often we get on this channel and it's like they don't want to see us rise, they got us twisted, they, and I wonder, is everybody they? No, today Paige showed me that everybody ain't they. And we actually do have some friends that are across the borders and maybe like, across the aisle. But how do we spot those people? And how do we know, like, how do we kind of foster those relationships with them and really just like start to, because here was my question. Do we need them to elevate as, do we need that type of allyship to change our position in this country? And it just, y'all, as you can see, I just went deep with it after I found these conversations, like this speech. I was like, do we need this? This is what we need as a Black people, for other white people to see that, from other white people. Will they not respect it from us? If Paige was a Black woman, would it have been like revered as this profound speech if a Black woman was saying it? The fact that it was a white woman, did people take stock and say, oh my God, she's right? Right. So it just brought up all of these questions for me that I think are important. And actually, let's go to break.
I know. It's the white savior complex. It's the question we have all the time that says, is there ice water cooler? So when we say it, which we say all the time, does it have the same impact as when they say it? And or do we need that great white savior to come and save us? So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to go to break and we'll be right back.
Woo! It's a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
Know and grow with flynubianmoney.com right here, Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern. If you don't get the alerts, text the word Queens, QUEENS to 87948 so that you can get notified when we are here. I'm going to go back to my good brother Joe and ask him a question. Paige talked a lot about media, right? When we talk, a lot of times when we're talking about race, and we're talking about privilege. And so What she's talking about is media and press time, because the more media attention you get, the more press you get, the more sponsorships, the more fame, you kind of rise in the ranks. And so in her address, she said that these people need to get media attention as well. Do you think that it's the media or the privilege or combination of the two that allows white women or men in sports to catapult higher? Is it a media issue? Is it a privilege issue? Is it both?
It's both. And from the standpoint of the media and the WNBA as an organization, it is extremely profitable to prop these narratives up, right? They're not blind to what they're doing. This gets activity, this gets action. So, and if you're in a media outlet, you get action for having these conversations or talking about these things, or pushing this discourse, or in some cases causing the discourse between two young girls. I mean, these girls are very famous, right? Both, look at them there. They're both very, very famous, but they're still, neither one of them is, I think, older than 23, right? So they've even barely started their lives and trying to gain understanding of, who they are. And they both got an extreme amount of fame almost overnight. So it is a lot of responsibility on them to just try to navigate what's being thrown at them. Meanwhile, no one cares, right? They look at it like, it is what it is. But there is an extreme amount of privilege that goes into this situation, because if you just look at the way that both of them are treated, the dynamics of the way they're both treated, Angel is getting killed. She gets killed consistently. And that's privileged. And Caitlyn does have her fair share of detractors and people that kill her, but those voices aren't nearly as loud as the ones that come and attack Angel Reese. She's getting it from all sides, even her own people.
Yeah.
Man,
I have a question. When it comes to that, do you think that beef is fueled? Like, I saw things that said, like, there's not even a beef here. It's like the public is creating these beefs and pitting these players against one another, when really the players are just like, oh, can I live, kind of thing. Like, I'm just wanting to play basketball. Is that the case, Joe, or is the beef real?
No, it might be getting to a space where it could be real. I'm not positive, but for the majority of the time that the narrative's been pushed, there's been no beef. They don't, necessarily even think about each other like that. It's not a thing. But I mean, over time, if you're Angel and a particular player, you can't go a single press conference. If Angel is in a press conference, somebody is asking her about Caitlyn. People aren't asking Caitlyn about Angel all the time. It's not happening. So they're having different dynamics. So over time, you're basically you're trying to create this entire narrative around me about one player in my opposition to one player. Meanwhile, I'm doing historic things on the basketball court. So is Caitlyn. They're both doing historic things. But my narrative, everything I do is get downplayed because I'm not this person, or I'm being compared to this person, and it's just not fair. It's not fair to Angel at all.
It's not fair, because it's white supremacy at its finest, from the perspective of you. We talked a lot, or you talked a lot about the narrative, right? And when you think about sports, right, you have 80% of Black players out here playing with 20% of white players. They're playing for their owners, right? And they're playing the sport for America, and America, majority is white people. So you have this sport that's being played for the majority of people who now feel like they also are the owners of the sport. And so when they see these players and they rise, when they see someone that looks like them, it's like, yes, we expect it. You should be at the top, because really these other players, the 80% of the players, they're just playing for us. They're here to entertain us. They should just be happy that they have $1 million contracts. Take your $1 million, go sit over there. Don't talk about no Black stuff. Don't speak about no Black stuff. Don't stand up for no Black stuff. Don't throw your hat into conversations about Black stuff, because we will snatch your money. We will snatch your livelihood. Be happy. Here's the ball. Go and play. So when you think about it from that perspective, Tiara, what does a player do, right? Like, how do you operate in the space where You know you are the bee's knees, the shit, the sugar honey iced tea, but you're sitting in these rooms where people are talking at you like you should just be happy to be here. They're going to keep throwing Caitlin Clark at you. They're going to, hang opportunities over your head or take them from you if you misstep or you walk the wrong way. How is and or could or should a Black woman or athlete operate in this type of a space?
Yeah, I mean, how they have been operating, right? I think they just go out and play ball. I think, that's their love. That's what they do. Like, that's why they're here. Greatness requires a bit of hate in every situation you're in. Like, it doesn't matter what the industry is, you're going to meet resistance from people. I mean, we see it with Beyonce. We see it with, doesn't matter who you are, Kirk Franklin. It doesn't matter, right? Like, who you are, or if you hit a certain amount of greatness, I think that you'll have that resistance. And so you just got to take it and understand it's part of the game. In this space, it's part of the game. And so clock that as part of the game and just keep it moving. But it is hard. I would just say they just have to keep advocating for themselves and advocating for their teammates, and just like speaking truths, speaking to the light, just keep using their voice, and hopefully they do that and don't feel like they're that what their words need to be suppressed, or like, their livelihood will be compromised if they just say like, hey, this is injustice. So I guess that's it. Play ball, and when it feels right, advocate.
Aisha, question for you. So a lot of this boils down to finances, right? The more media attention you get, the more recognition you get, the more ball time you get, accolades, awards, things of that nature. The more of that you get, the more money that you get, right? Because your shirts are selling, you're selling tickets, people are coming to see you. So this, at the end of the day, it's about money, right? What steps can Black women and or Black athletes take to ensure that they are getting the financial recognition that they deserve, right? So let's say they might not be getting it on the court by way of media and things of that nature, but what other things can they do financially to support themselves?
That's such a great question. And I thought about that too, because at the end of the day, we also get upset because we know that one person is going to get more financially rewarded than the other based on what is happening. It's just the natural course of things. And then, so what do you do? And my first thought was, perhaps we as our own people too should find a way to promote our own people, right? If we had the platform, make sure that we also speak to who they are and put it as a part of our game so that they get recognized and noticed, so that when they ask for something, it's real because they have the backing from our community, right? Because like you were saying earlier, that majority of the people in America are white people, and they own these places. So if somebody that looks like them is doing well, they want to pay them more, right? So if we also support our players, like make sure that our voices are heard, that they're good, and if they put a merchandise out, we make sure that we also like go for it, so that they can see that, wow, this person in their community, there's something there, so that when they ask for that extra money, they will get it. But if we don't support them in that space, then it's easy for those people in charge to focus on those people that look like them and keep rewarding them more and more and more. Right? It's very tricky. I get that too as a person, that wow, it might be tricky because we say, well, this person is doing better because we can put them in, we can get the money back that we need. And if we put you, we won't get the money. So we have to support our players, make sure that they're heard, and whatever they put out, we support, and we're right behind them. So that way they cannot deny that, you know what, if they put content out about these people that look like us, we support them wholeheartedly. We buy the merchandise, we make them known and support them. So that'll be the best way. And then if you have the money, save your money as well. So that way, if something happens, you can do something with your own money. You don't have to wait for anybody else.
Lene, can I add something to that really quick? And this is a question for Joe. So Liz Cambridge came out after being in the NBA and hopped on OnlyFans and said that she made more money on OnlyFans as a WNBA player than she made in her career as a basketball player. So my question to Joe is, like, I know that Caitlin Clark ain't got to hop off and get on OnlyFans. I don't know the percentage. Do you know the percent, like the what that pay gap looks like, Joe?
Between OnlyFans and
No, like between black
W.
players and white players. Yeah, WNBA
Oh,
players.
there really isn't a pay gap in between black and white players in the WNBA.
Okay.
Their salary caps are set up differently than
right.
NBA.
So none of the so everybody potentially will hop off and get on OnlyFans because they go broke, right? Is what you're saying after years and years and years of playing.
Right, especially now, like it's trending in the right direction. You know, they're putting everything forward, and Kaylin is helping with that because she's bringing more attention to the league and increasing revenues, and that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
So she is pushing that forward. But no, there's no big. But now when you're talking about off the court stuff, endorsements, for instance, Sabrina, who is probably the third or fourth best player on her team, has the #1 selling shoe right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally that's all privilege. You know, like the third or fourth best player on her own team, but she has a shoe that's selling out everywhere. You know.
Okay.
So when I was asking about that, you kind of hit on it a little bit, Joe. We're going to go to break after this. Is what are they doing? So I have always felt like Black athletes, because those are the ones I care about, should, when they are recruited, they should also be recruited with a Black financial consultant. Because if you're not making the money that you need to make on the court, then there's endorsements, yes, but there's investments, there's property, there's other ways for your money to grow, businesses and things of that nature. Because we know you can only play for so long. We know your money is only good for so long, and you're only one knee tear, ACL tear, one injury away from not having the money. So there are opportunities that are available outside of that. And I think one of the things that I have heard, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, is that when you go into, when these players get all this big money, these organizations hire their support team around them, and usually they don't look like us. And they charge them and take astronomical fees from them to go and feed their families. So you have this Black player who is now supported by a white lawyer, a white financial person, a white that then eats off of this Black player. When really we should be surrounding these players and helping them to not just make the money that they make on the court, because we know that the system itself is rigged and set up against them, but to also be thinking about how they make money outside the court, off of the court, whether that's through endorsements, investments, etc. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and continue this conversation.
I know you're busy. You got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money, and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us, so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
Boom. All right. So I'll shoot this question over to Joe. How can we begin to celebrate Black women in sports? Before we go to that question, let's go to our next video, and then we'll come back and do questions. Let's go to our next video.
Talk about this specific championship season and the championship game. Paige Bueckers was the face of that game. She was the person who was on the front page of ESPN. She was shown all over, but she did not have a great game. She shot 36% and scored 17 points. Meanwhile, 2 Black women on her team outplayed her and contributed more to UConn's win. You had Sarah Strong, who had 24 points on 67% shooting and 15 rebounds. And you had Ozzie Fudd, also, who had 24 points on 53% shooting. So these two were literally and figuratively the stars of the game. The stars of the game, but they did not get the headlines. You did not see their faces when you opened up most sites, particularly ESPN is who I'm calling out right now. And so this is what shows bias in media bias. And so while I believe the people who made the decision to put Paige Bueckers on there doesn't mean that they're racist. It doesn't mean that they probably didn't actively decide, like, we're going to put the white girl there and forget the black girls. It's bias is not a thing that typically acts consciously. It's you put the person that you relate to, that looks best to you, that you're drawn to. And typically you're drawn to someone who is similar to you. That's who you think about, right? That's all of us. And so on too. And so you have DEI initiatives that will make you say, the last 12 cover stories we did, guess what? It was a white person who was the cover of it, even though there's, how many black players or how many Latino players, or how many Asian players or whatever. And so it just reminds you to pay attention, to be fair, to work against your natural bias that we all have. That's all it does. You look at something.
Man, oh my, Joe. Now I can ask this question. What impact does social media bias have on Black women's mental health, especially when their achievements aren't properly acknowledged? 2 Black women outscored, outperformed, did the work, and didn't get the same media attention as Paige got, who scored less and performed not less, but not as high as the 2 Black women. What does that do? What does that say?
To be honest, y'all are more qualified to answer that question than I am, because that's an everyday occurrence, right? That's not nothing new. I can tell you how me watching it affects me as a Black man who supports and believes in Black women, and I don't like to tolerate what I see. It's very disheartening. It's frustrating, and especially when I see grown Black men contributing to the narrative that these Black women either control the way they present or show up differently in order to become marketable, which we just proximity to whiteness. So it's extremely frustrating, and I have observed, I consume so much WNBA media. I know how it's affecting them. It's extremely frustrating, to be constantly over and over again belittled for your accomplishments, your hard work, and just constantly being put down because you're either Black or queer. So it's extremely frustrating. But I like I said, you are more qualified than I am to answer that question.
Okay. I was asking from a psychological standpoint as a therapist, but let me ask a Black woman. Tiara, how do you think that sports media bias helps or hinders Black women's careers and their financial opportunities and or their mental health?
Yeah. I equate entertainment across the board, right? To me, sports entertainment is just like Hollywood entertainment. It's just like music industry. It's all kind of the same to me. And it all has the same overarching themes of that bias, right? Where we don't see Black women, Black men represented in a way that they should. It's disproportionate. And so, it just reminds me that how important it is for us to create spaces like this where we have Black people continuously lifting up and talking about Black people. And also just shining a light on diversity of Black people, the kinds of Black people that exist, that we're not all a monolith, which I often say, but it does. It just we gotta be the ones to shine light on our own. And I think that that's just important. Like she was saying, she said something that hit the nose on the head for me, or hit the nail on the head for me. She said, in those spaces, they're just going to gravitate towards the people that look like them. That is so common. Let me be somewhere and I see, I see some pictures. I'll be like, "Ooh, look at the Black girl. Let's use this one because Black girl magic," right? It just means that there needs to be more of us, maybe doing that same thing and promoting. I don't know if there needs to be more of us in those spaces, because it's tough for us to be in those spaces. Like that's a whole nother conversation. But I think that when we get the opportunity to also, like I said, we just need to be in those spaces and shedding a light on our own.
I like that. In those spaces, I'm writing my notes so I can come back to another question. Aisha, so we're talking about I kind of piggyback a little bit on what Tiara was talking about, like being in those spaces, right? When you are in those spaces as an athlete and you see another athlete, you see, hey, sis, I see you. We're dealing with the same thing. We're going through the same thing. I recognize that you're not getting the love and support that you're supposed to be getting. I see how they letting these others get in front of us. And so there creates this opportunity for collaboration because we understand each other. There's like-minded. When I do events, I'm going to go and grab people most of the time who look like me, but also who have a like mind, because that's the best way to collaborate. So what do you think, or how do you think that Black athletes, specifically women, because that's what we're talking about right now, can collaborate to create and or build more opportunities for themselves, regardless of how the media portrays them and what's going on in the WNBA? What are some ways that they can possibly collaborate to buck up against the system, if you will, through coming together?
Yeah, I think just when Jerry was speaking, I was thinking about the whole aspect as well, and trying to understand the fact that it's just a natural bias, like from that video, that you will want to work with people that have the same values like you, look like you. It's easier. It's an easy thing to do, right? But a lot of times we have to try to work against it, but it's hard when you're in a place where it has to do with money. At the end of the day, it's about money and representation. So how can the girls that look like us that are playing this game, how can they work together? I think it's awareness, right? Now they're aware that this is happening. And the sad thing is the media is trying to put them against each other, where perhaps there'll be collaboration, even with the allies, will be a good thing. But then the negativity starts to push in, and then it gives you that negative, maybe side thought in your mind all the time, which you don't really need. You want to just focus on what is good. To me, I believe if they come together, maybe our sisters, if they come together and say, listen, this is happening around us and we know that. But at the same time, as we play this game, we know that we have allies that don't look like us. Well, how can we make sure that whatever they're doing and getting, that we as well find a space where we can talk about how we can do the same and support each other, where we're not going against each other so much and make it public, right? Because they are very good at that. They know how to play that, where maybe they might be disagreeing on the outside, but when they come outside, there's a unity, right, that they portray. They bring that face together, so we can do the same. So the allies that we work with that don't look like us, let's learn from them. What are they doing differently? That doesn't mean that they are our saviors. It's just that there's something that they're doing that the whole country is buying. Well, let's see what it is. And then we as a group as well, we can do the same thing in our own way. So when we come together and come out in public, we have a united front, right? I think that will make a big difference, because people can read us. They can see if we're working together or if we're trying to outdo one another. They can tell. And if they feel that, it's easy for them to go to the other space where they fight in the back, but in the front, in public, they have a united face, right? And they're smiling and being kind to each other while we might be upset with each other. We have to find a way to make sure that we are united. No matter what game we play or who is just have a united face, that will be a game changer.
I like that. Let's go to some stats around the mental health that we have. If we can get those up. So the mental health impact of stereotypes in sports. The American Psychological Association reported that Black athletes are disproportionately affected by mental health challenges, with 72% experiencing stress due to racial stereotyping in the media.
That's so long. That's a lot.
That's a high number. Racism in women's sports. A 2022 survey by the Pew Research Center revealed that 40% of Black athletes report experiencing racial discrimination in their career, with the majority pointing to media bias and racial stereotypes as key barriers. The financial impact of unequal representation. In 2021, Black women athletes were found to receive 28% less in sponsorship deals than their white counterparts, according to a report by Sports Business Journal. Black athletes are increasingly monetizing their brands through endorsement and media deals. A 2023 study showed that Black women athletes represent 5% of the sports endorsement market, despite being crucial to sports culture. So, Pete's comment to Angel Mocha 9, you are literally watching a stream right now that is causing division by claiming Black WNBA players are victims. Get a damn clue. We literally just showed you the clues. We're not victims. They are not victims, but they are disproportionately being, I won't say disrespected, but let's say underfunded. They're getting less media attention, less endorsements, less money, and suffering mentally. So we're not saying they're victims, but we are saying that they're going through something. Say it again, Tara.
It's just the truth,
72%.
right?
72% said that they are experiencing mental health issues due to stereotypes. But yeah, bring it up again. I'm sorry. Just
also the media.
That. With 72% experiencing stress due to racial stereotyping in the media. Come on.
The media.
Let's not act like this is not happening. We live in America and we are well aware of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're just it's important for us to have these conversations, Pete. So if you don't understand that, you gotta go. Right? You don't understand why we're here having these conversations. You gotta you out of touch. You out of clue.
Exactly. Because
right?
truth matters, right? Truth matters.
Pete is the consumer of the NBA WNBA. He's one of the white majorities who thinks that the blacks are there to perform for him. My concept is that Pete is a white man sitting behind his computer somewhere saying, as a black athlete, you make money, go play ball. I think his comment said, the white girl will put you on her back and save you and the league. Go, Pete, you're so funny.
Pete is accountability.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we'll have a break and then we'll come back and we'll dive deeper.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Pete, there's no shutdown. We just want to educate you, my love. That's all. No shutdown.
No,
we live this life. We know, so we don't have to argue. There's no need to bicker, go back and forth with somebody who does not know, who is not educated, who's giving opinions. If you are not a black woman, you're not placed trolling, then you can't speak to this. But let's go to our next video.
Yeah, let's do it.
One more video before we get up out of here.
Let's do it.
Fam, what's up, the Squatters' favorite auntie with Uncle 10 this season? I've been hearing it back and forth, and I wasn't going to say anything, but it keep coming across my timeline, so I'm just going to say this. Follow me, fam. WBCA Naismith Parade, National High School Player of the Year. McDonald's All-American. Parade, All-American. Gatorade, South Carolina Girls Basketball Player of the Year. Two-time WNBA champion. WNBA Finals MVP. Two-time WNBA MVP. Two-time WNBA Defensive Player of the Year. Best WNBA Player ESPY Award. 5-time WNBA All-Star, WNBA Rookie of the Year, WNBA All-Rookie Team, 3-time All-WNBA First Team, All-WNBA Second Team, WNBA All-Defensive Second Team, 2-time WNBA All-Defensive First Team, 3-time WNBA Blocks Leader, Commissioner's Cup Champion, 2-time USA Basketball Female Athlete of the Year, FIBA World Cup MVP, NCAA Champion, NCAA Tournament Most Outstanding Player, Naismith College Player of the Year, Lisa Leslie Award, 3-time Consensus First Team All-American, 3rd Team All-American, 3-time SEC Player of the Year, 2-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time First Team All SEC Honda Sports Award, SEC Freshman of the Year, SEC All Freshman Team, most decorated athlete of any sport in South Carolina, including the first National Player of the Year selection in women's basketball, and that was unanimous. First 3-time SEC Player of the Year in league history. Program's first 4-time All-American, 3-time First Team All-American, and 4-time First Team All SEC selection. Hold 86 school records, 11 career marks, 166 top 5 entries, number 1 overall pick in the WNBA draft, first top pick in program history, 6th in the SEC history, top team scorer, and second leading rebounder on the national championship season. New York Times best-selling author. She got her own statue. And my favorite achievement of all, lifetime Girl Scout. If y'all don't know who I'm talking about by now, I'm talking about Miss A'ja Wilson. I call her 2-time because she done did everything good, seemed like at least 2 times. Come on, y'all. Jealous of who? For what? Jealous of who? For what? Man, y'all cut that out.
Joe.
Yeah, they were talking about her, Caitlin, right? Like
Her
Caitlin Clark.
accomplishments. Mhm.
So the question is to Joe: why is it so difficult for Black women in sports like A'ja, who just we just
A'ja.
A'ja, read through her accolades, to be recognized and celebrated without race? No, why is it so difficult for her to be celebrated? The question, the way it's asked here, says without race playing a role in the media coverage, but I don't even think it necessarily has to do with race playing a role in the media coverage as much as it is as media does not want to hype up, big up, fist bump a Black woman. But that's my take. Why do you think it's difficult for Black women in sports to be recognized and celebrated?
It's bias, right? It's racial bias. It is what it is. I see a bunch of people going back and forth in the comments, and I told y'all, I do not do the back and forth. You're not gonna tell me a thing is not a thing when I can clearly see it's a thing, right? A'ja, all the things that guy just said about A'ja, she's not just an elite player. Okay, she is marketable, she's charismatic, she's intelligent, which a lot of people don't understand about the WNBA. These are not athletes that leave college early. So all of these women are college educated at some point, multiple degreed women. The majority of them in that league are supremely educated women from prestigious universities. All right, these are not just athletes; these are scholars, right? So Asia's one of them, right? And she's intelligent. She's socially aware, and she's a proven winner. She's won in college. She's won in the league. He just listed all her accomplishments, so I won't do that. But her name does not. I watch enough of this to know her name doesn't dominate the headlines.
Yeah.
Like it should, the way that other people do, that she outperforms on every level. She's not just an athlete, she's possibly the greatest player of her generation. And like a lot of people, even Black women, don't know her name.
Yeah.
They don't know her name. You know what I mean? She's not a regular person. Okay. And then when her shoe, but despite the lack of coverage, her shoe is, you can't go to the store and purchase her shoe.
Yeah.
It is sold out in every space, right? The things that this Black woman is doing with her A1 line with Nike and all, this should be on the tip of but we're not even promoted it in our own spaces, right? We're not talking about her in our own. And she is it. And she's come from the tree of Don Staley, who I believe is probably one of the most important sports figures in the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
We don't talk enough about Don Staley, which is the whole reason Caitlin is popular in the first place. It wasn't because of her conflict with Angel. It's because white media was sick and tired of Don winning, and Caitlin beat her. She beat Don. And that's when she got popular. And in the very next game, Angel beat Caitlin, and that's when she became the villain.
Yeah.
Caitlin became a hero for beating Don, and then Angel came and knocked Caitlin off that pedestal. Now she's the target of everybody's animosity. That's okay. So why I won't go back and forth for why I think is a thing, Lene. It's just racism. It's just straight racism. That's what it is. But we gotta insulate. We gotta lift up A'ja and in many corners as we can, because what she's doing is phenomenal. What Don is doing is phenomenal. What these WNBA are doing is phenomenal. They're in the forefront of every issue. They don't hold their tongues like the male athletes. They don't bow down like the male athletes. There won't be such a thing in the WNBA as a Colin Kaepernick getting booted out. The WNBA, the women of the WNBA would not have anything like that.
Yeah.
Right? They literally got Senator Raphael Warnock elected, and I've never heard Raphael Warnock speak the name of the WNBA. I've never seen him at a game. He would not be in office if not for the WNBA.
Yeah.
They would have not turned Georgia over if not for the WNBA. So we have to do better about putting flashlights and highlights on what these women are doing, because they're at the forefront of everything. And if we get behind what they're doing, we can change everything.
There you go.
Can I also add to that? It's so funny because I was gonna ask about just that thing, Joe, where it's like I feel like the tide should turn on what what WNBA players make versus what NBA players make, just because of how important they really are to I want to say our country, our community, like what they are doing, how they are activists. And somebody said it in the comments, those women are activists. But we can't get that in the NBA. The NBA players be like, I ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm about to play ball, get my money, and do my thing. So I do wonder about the pay. Like, why I want to talk about why women and men, there's such a disparity with how much men make versus women.
Well, the men's sports generate more money.
Yeah.
And they have negotiated better deals for themselves as far as revenue sharing and all those things. So while they are underpaid based on what they're bringing in, they should be earning more. There's no way that they are going to get to where the men are in the immediate future. Keep in mind, the WNBA is 25 to 30 years old, and the NBA is like 75 to 100 years old. Go do your comparison on where the WNBA was here 25 to 30, and they're probably close to right on track, if not further ahead of them. But they do need to do, and they are negotiating. I think they're actually in negotiations right now with the potential to lock out if they don't get what they're earned. But, not to mention the WNBA players, they went to Miami and started their own league where each player at minimum was getting paid. I can't remember if it was $150,000 or $250,000, which is way more than their WNBA salaries.
Right.
They negotiated their own media contracts and all those other things. And each player is an equitable owner in this league, and they get paid more than the WNBA in a league that they started. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying they're in the forefront of things. These women did that. Okay, they did that. And again, it's because most of them are supremely educated. They have gotten their degrees and their master's degrees, and they understand more about business and what they're doing than their male counterparts, where the male counterparts are not willing to risk, their billion-dollar brands, all of them, every single man's player. So there's a lot to say. I've never been faced with a billion-dollar decision. When it comes to, putting my politics or my beliefs out in front. And the women haven't had that struggle. Who knows? Hopefully when they do get to that marketability and that price point, they don't start shutting up. Because right now I'm so proud of what they're doing. I love everything about women's basketball and the way that they push everything to the forefront. They're not quiet about anything. They speak up.
Black Girl Magic. I mean, what, 80% of the league is black, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Black Girl Magic. Once again, black women doing what black women things. Go ahead, Lynette.
Go ahead. Okay. So we're going to start shutting down. I have two questions and I'm trying to figure out how I want to end them. I think that they're both valid. And so I think I'm going to go with Aisha. I'm going to ask you the question. You can answer it, and then you can close out, tell people how to find you, and give your final thoughts. And so the final thought question for you is, how can we begin to celebrate Black women in sports without reducing them to a stereotype of pain or struggle? A little bit of kind of like what people are saying. You're making it sound like they're a victim, right? But when you see, it is not that they're not a victim. It's not that they are or they aren't a victim. We see the accolades. We know what they do. We know how important they are. Joe just talked about how educated they are and what the things that they're doing. So what are ways that we can celebrate these Black women in these spaces without reducing them to a stereotype of pain or struggle?
Great question.
Yeah, wow, what a great conversation today. And my final thought with that question is it's unfair. It's unfair when people do a great job and work hard and you see what they've done and they're not recognized or given enough credit for what they've done, or they're giving credit but not compensated to equal what they've been putting out, right? And it just makes you say, wow, it's unfair. So how do we try to remedy that? And not say, oh, it's because of victimhood, because it's not victimhood. These women are there working hard, they're educated. Then the next thing for us to do is support them. So when these women are out there doing things like Joe was mentioning, that we should be very vigilant about that and see what it is, so we can really pour into them. So they know that, what you're doing is good and we want more of it. So we can duplicate this and make it something that is real and tangible. Because otherwise we'll keep going back to the same space where the majority of what we are already experiencing repeats itself over and over again, right? But I just feel that if we continue to just support their ideals, like was mentioned, and just keep being there for them, showing up for them as well. So that we're not just talking it, we're actually putting our actions behind it and supporting them and making them known. So that will make a huge difference. And that's how, to me, I think I can support. Like now I know more about Asia. I didn't know about her before. Now I'm going to be more focused and intentional to make sure that if she has anything out there, I want to make sure that I do something to support her, right? And you can find me at the Black Business School as a coach, and also www.aishaversi.com. And my final thing is, today is my daughter's 13th birthday. Happy birthday, Elizabeth.
Happy birthday, Elizabeth.
Birthday, Elizabeth. Awesome. So I'm going to give two of us one of the questions and two of us the other question. So the other question is, what steps can we take as fans and supporters to help Black women athletes secure the media coverage and respect that they've earned in the face of these racial dynamics? I'm gonna give that one to you, Joe. What steps can we take as fans and supporters? Because you're already doing this work. So for those of us who do not know, who don't know how to show up, what can we do to support and help Black women to secure media coverage and or respect that they've earned in the face of these racial dynamics?
You know what's frustrating for me is when I talk to young female hoopers and I start asking them questions about the WNBA and they have no idea what I'm talking about. So how do we got to get this next generation of basketball players, not just females, basketball players, to these games? Because I promise you, I go to these games frequently and they are a whole vibe. All right. It's so entertaining. And the players have stories and storylines that are important. And we just have to be on the lookout for these type of things. And we have to, watch. We just have to watch. And then and tap into the media outlets that they have. Angel has a podcast, and she's not the only WNBA player with a podcast. But tap into what they're doing and follow these storylines, and not just because, not just for any old reason, they're actually interesting. You know what I mean? Like, they have real life stories, and I promise you, especially if you're a Black woman, you will align with what they're doing. Let me just talk about the WNBA for a quick second. Like, look, under-celebrated, under-promoted, undervalued. Does that align with you as a Black woman? Let's be clear. You know what I mean? Asking her, Black women shouldn't have to be twice as good for half the coverage. Does that align with you as a Black woman? Equity, consistency, and truth-telling. That's all we want. Just be honest about what they're doing, and don't, at the very least, don't lie about who they are and expect them to behave or show up a certain way because you're not comfortable with who they are and what they're doing. That's all. That's it. That's all. Because when Black women win, I'm telling you, everything is better. And I'm not performing right now. That's the truth, guys. That's the truth.
Listen, you sold me. When a king comes through, there's something about when a Black man speaks that like the earth moves and clarity comes through. And it's like, you know what,
Mhm.
that makes good sense. I need to do better in that area. I am not a Phoenix Suns fan. I'm not a Phoenix anything fan, to be honest with you. I root for whatever team comes to play Phoenix, whoever that is. That's what I root for. But I think I'm gonna start showing up for. I can't even think of that. What's our WNBA team in Phoenix? The Mercury's. I'm gonna start showing up. I'm gonna at least represent the Mercury's. I'm a LA Rams football fan because that's my hometown. So I rocks with the Rams. So that's my football team. But I might go ahead, and I really do like the Lakers. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and rock with WNBA Phoenix.
Go to a game. I'm challenging, and tell me you don't have a good time. Just go.
Okay, I'm gonna do my part. All right, Miss Black Hollywood, our executive producer, you have the two questions. Which one you want? I'll take the other one. How can we begin to celebrate Black women in sports without reducing them to a stereotype of pain or struggle? You can take that one, or you can take what steps can we take as fans and supporters to help Black women athletes secure the media coverage and respect that they've earned? Which one you want? Or your own, you're the executive producer. You can do whatever you want to.
I could do what I want. No, I love what you said about, I'm thinking about how often we are seen in pain and struggle, right? We talked earlier this week about, Tyler Perry movies and Black women always going, I don't got no money, right? Or whatever it is, or them needing a light-skinned savior, or all the things. And I think that just when it comes to representation, Black women are not a monolith. We are not all twerking. We are actually doing some really powerful things in the world. And I think it's just meant to be celebrated. I believe that we, just as a storyteller, I believe that we've really embraced and as a community, embrace the negative stereotypes and stories. So I just challenge us all to just really think about and be mindful of the Kool-Aid that we drink and where we get the stories from about our own women. Yesterday, I was just looking at somebody, I was scrolling, and I saw somebody say, Black women don't do this. And there was a picture of somebody. I was like, I got time today. So I got on there and was like, actually, Black women do this and this and this and this. And really, I don't typically do that. But I do feel like we have purchased a story that is not our own. It's come from outside sources. It's come from other, our oppressors, if you will. It's come from, other voices. And I think we just buy it and be like, yeah, Black people aren't shit. We just take it with us. So I would just challenge you to really just dissect what, if you believe what Pete believes, who I had to block, and I don't block people, but if you believe what Pete believes, then you don't belong in this space. But I challenge you to really just understand why you think that way, why you believe that way, why, really challenge you to look outside of your scope and try to look objectively about the stories that we've been sold. That is my final thought. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood. I am a producer and also an expert in story selling. So this weekend, I have a 3-week workshop that is starting. It's called The Art of Story Selling. I am helping people wrap their stories around a product or around a brand, and helping you attract your tribe, your customers, and the people that are meant for you. So if you are interested, please go to MissBlackHollywood.net and sign up. We do have payment options for y'all. So I got Klarna and Afterpay. Come and spend 3 weeks with me. You have access to me for 3 weeks to get your life together. 24/7. You got access to me for 3 weeks to write your story. And I want to help you do that. So MissBlackHollywood.net.
Listen, this has been a great conversation, and we're talking about Black women. We're talking about Black excellence. We're talking about resilience, and my specialty, my favorite, which is brilliance. The brilliance and the talent and the drive of Black women athletes, specifically. That's our conversation today. And I'm just going to piggyback on what everybody has already said, and that is really just show up, support. Put your money where your mouth is. Where your money goes, your support goes. How do we help these Black athletes, Black women athletes specifically, which is what we're talking about today? We show up, we support, we buy their merchandise, we listen to their podcasts, we follow them online, we show that they have a community behind them that supports them. Because The sponsors and the media goes where the money goes, right? If a particular athlete starts getting more notoriety in social medias, more fame, more podcasts, the media will start to turn to that person too, right? So we show up and we support and we let the world, the organization know that this one is ours. This one belongs to us, and we're going to show up and we're going to support the same way we do with these crazy ass entertainers. When something goes wrong and somebody gets slapped on the stage, or somebody, I'm not gonna say anything else crazy. I was about to say somebody get peed on, but I'm not gonna do that. We show up and we support these entertainers. We got to show up and support these our young girls. These are young ladies. We got to show up and support them too, and we do that through our money. We do that through showing up, through tickets, through merchandise, and all we're doing is saying, sis, I see your brilliance. I see the spark in you. I see the talent in you. I see the drive in you, and I want to support it. And so I am Dr. Lene Javed. I am a brand new brilliant strategist and coach. And what I do is I help service-based Black entrepreneurs who have a talent, a skill, a brilliance, a knowledge. I help them to package it so that they can sell it. And so if that's you, if that's something that you need help with, you can find me at I am Dr. Lene Javed on social media. And so for today, thank you for joining us. Black women athletes continue to break barriers, but they still face an uphill battle when it comes to media, recognition, respect, and financial opportunity. We've discussed the challenges that arise from racism in sports media and how it's time for a change. Let's continue to support Black women in sports, demand better representation, and create opportunities for them to shine in ways that reflect their strength, talent, resilience, and brilliance. Until next time, stay empowered and stay informed, and keep working to shift the narrative in favor of Black women. I'm Dr. Lene Javed. We were joined today by Aisha, Joe, and Tiara. This is Fly Nubian Money. Again, you can catch us here every Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock. Have a blessed day. Continue to be Black, stay powerful, and be one. We'll see you tomorrow.